The Baltimore Ravens coaching search is moving steadily, and things are starting to take shape as the organization enters the next stage of its process. Over the course of Monday and into late hours, second interviews began to emerge, giving fans some insight into the candidates who might be in the running for the vacant head coaching position. With the head coach search heating up, some openings around the league were filled, reducing the pool of options. But the Ravens remain deeply involved in evaluating potential leaders. The latest developments suggest that Baltimore is methodical in its approach, carefully reviewing candidates before making any major moves. One of the notable names scheduled for a second interview is Anthony Weaver, the defensive coordinator for the Miami Dolphins. Weaver has a history with Baltimore, both as a former player and as a coach, which adds a familiarity factor that might work in his favor, in addition to his current role in Miami. Weaver also has prior head coaching experience with the Houston Texans. While his tenure there may not have gone perfectly, his leadership qualities and defensive acumen are undeniable. Weaver is recognized as someone who motivates his players and fosters a strong team mentality, characteristics that Baltimore has valued in coaches under John Harbaugh's tenure. Despite this, opinions vary on Weaver's candidacy. Some fans and analysts acknowledge that he may not be the top choice on their personal lists, but his combination of experience, leadership, and ties to Baltimore make him a logical contender for the Ravens' consideration. The organization's decision to bring him in for a second interview reflects their desire to ensure no stone is left unturned in a process this important. Even candidates who aren't considered frontrunners deserve an opportunity to present their vision and approach directly to the team's decision makers. Another significant development came with Joe Brady, the offensive coordinator for the Buffalo Bills. Brady's second interview was somewhat unexpected, as his style and approach have drawn mixed reactions. While he has a strong resume and has contributed to an offense that has consistently performed at a high level, some feel that his system heavily relied on Josh Allen's unique skill set. There is concern that a similar reliance on Lamar Jackson could hinder the Ravens' goal of opening up the offense and diversifying their play calling. Baltimore is seeking a system that allows for flexibility and innovation without placing undue pressure on a single player to carry the team. Brady's time in Buffalo has produced impressive statistical results under his guidance. The Bills maintained one of the top rushing offenses in the league and ranked among the better passing offenses with consistent production in points scored. Despite these numbers, there are moments that raise questions about his decision-making on the field. A notable example comes from the Ravens' matchup against Buffalo last season, when a trick play in the third quarter exposed lapses in situational awareness. Although Brady's offense is dynamic, these isolated moments of questionable judgment have led some analysts to view him with caution. The Ravens are focused on avoiding scenarios where inconsistent play calling could hinder their quarterback's effectiveness or limit offensive versatility. Turning back to Weaver, his defensive record in Miami has had ups and downs, largely influenced by injuries and roster changes. In 2024, Miami struggled on both sides of the ball, finishing near the bottom of the league in pass defense and rushing defense. However, Weaver's first season with the Dolphins showed promise, with a defense ranked much higher in both categories. Despite missing key players like Jalen Phillips, his ability to adapt, develop young talent, and structure a cohesive defensive unit demonstrates the qualities that the Ravens value. Even if recent results have been mixed, Weaver's leadership style and experience in various roles give him a multifaceted perspective that could translate well to Baltimore. While Weaver offers defensive expertise, many believe the Ravens would benefit from an offensive-minded head coach. Candidates like Flores or Mentor have been mentioned as potential fits, bringing a fresh offensive philosophy that could complement Lamar Jackson's skill set. There is also the intriguing possibility of a Kubica or McDaniel pairing, though recent developments suggest some of these options may be slipping off the board. Baltimore's approach is cautious, and even if Weaver ends up as head coach with Brady as offensive coordinator, the organization is aiming for balance, seeking to combine leadership, strategic planning, and innovation in its staff. The Ravens search has also included interviews with lesser-known but promising candidates like Anthony Campanelli, the defensive coordinator for the Jacksonville Jaguars. Campanelli has demonstrated an ability to transform a struggling defense into a top-tier unit, with Jacksonville finishing in the top 10 in both rush and pass defense, and ranking highly in turnovers. His youth, versatility, and experience at both the collegiate and NFL levels make him an interesting option for Baltimore, while he only has 1 year of play-calling experience. His track record suggests he has the potential to develop into a capable leader and tactical thinker. As the search continues, the Ravens are facing competition from other teams around the league. Some candidates have already committed to other openings, narrowing the pool. But Baltimore maintains the advantage in its methodical approach by carefully evaluating each candidate. From established coordinators to rising stars, the organization is ensuring that the final decision reflects both strategic priorities and the culture John Harbaugh has built. The process is not rushed, and while some fans may be impatient, the measured pace allows the Ravens to avoid mistakes that could have long-term consequences. The first round of second interviews has revealed early preferences and potential fits for the team, but nothing is finalized. Weaver and Brady represent different philosophies and leadership styles, and their interviews will provide the Ravens with insight into how each could impact the team's future. Additional candidates, like Campanelli, continue to generate interest, highlighting the organization's commitment to exploring every viable option. Baltimore is leaving no stone unturned, balancing experience, innovation, and familiarity to identify a leader capable of guiding the team to sustain success. In the coming days, more decisions will unfold, and the Ravens' strategy will become clearer. While early reactions from fans may vary, the organization remains focused on thorough evaluation and thoughtful selection. The candidates brought in for second interviews are just part of a larger, deliberate process designed to ensure that when the Ravens do name their next head coach, the choice reflects both the present needs of the team and its long-term aspiration. Patience and strategic consideration appear to be guiding principles as Baltimore navigates one of the most important decisions it has faced in recent years. As the coaching search continues to unfold, the landscape around the Baltimore Ravens is starting to change in real time, and not always in their favor. Overnight developments across the league have begun to shrink the list of available head coaching candidates, adding a new layer of pressure to an already complex process. One of the more notable updates involves Robert Saleh, who is no longer considered an option for Baltimore after strong indications that he is finalizing a deal elsewhere. Saleh was viewed by many as an intriguing candidate due to his leadership style and defensive background, qualities that could have translated well to a Ravens locker room built on toughness and accountability. Saleh's appeal was rooted in his ability to lead through adversity, especially considering what he dealt with on the defensive side of the ball in recent seasons. Injuries and inconsistency plagued his units, yet his teams often remained competitive and disciplined. While he was never viewed as a perfect fit or a top-tier option, his removal from the candidate pool highlights a growing reality for Baltimore. The longer the process takes, the fewer options remain. Even so, the Ravens are not panicking, and there is still a belief within the organization that patience will ultimately pay off. Despite some names coming off the board, Baltimore still finds itself in a relatively strong position. Not every candidate the Ravens are interested in is guaranteed to land a head coaching job elsewhere, which allows the team to continue evaluating without being forced into a rushed decision. The key advantage here is timing. Some of the most attractive candidates are still involved in postseason play, meaning interviews with them cannot even take place yet. This naturally slows the process, but also keeps high-upside options alive for Baltimore as the calendar moves forward. One name that has quietly generated intrigue is Anthony Campanelli, the defensive coordinator for the Jacksonville Jaguars. Campanelli represents a different type of candidate, one who does not carry the same national recognition as others, but has built a compelling resume. Through results, Jacksonville's defense took a significant step forward under his guidance, ranking among the league's best in both rushing defense and passing defense. Even more impressive was the unit's ability to generate turnovers consistently, a trait that aligns perfectly with Baltimore's long-standing defensive identity. Campanelli's background is also worth noting. At 43 years old, he brings a blend of youth and experience, having coached at both the collegiate level and in the professional ranks. While he only has 1 year of play-calling experience as a coordinator, that season demonstrated his ability to design schemes, adjust to opponents, and maximize the talent available to him. For a Ravens team that values adaptability and preparation, those qualities could carry significant weight during the interview process. What makes Campanelli particularly interesting is that he feels like a middle ground between extremes. He is not an unproven assistant with no leadership background, nor is he a retread with a long history of mixed results. Instead, he represents potential, growth, and a modern approach to defense. If Baltimore is truly committed to exploring every viable path, it would not be surprising to see him receive deeper consideration as the process moves forward. At this stage, it is becoming increasingly clear that the Ravens are intentionally slow-playing the search. This is not a sign of indecision, but rather a reflection of how seriously the organization views this hire. Baltimore understands that the next head coach will shape not only the immediate future of the team, but also the long-term trajectory of the franchise. With a roster built to compete right now and a quarterback in his prime, the margin for error is slim. There has been some frustration among fans, particularly on social media, where early interviews have not inspired widespread confidence. That reaction is understandable, but it also ignores the broader context. The Ravens are still operating within league rules that restrict when certain candidates can be interviewed. Several names that could emerge as strong contenders are currently unavailable due to playoff commitments. Once those windows open, the picture could look very different. Another important factor in this search is philosophical direction. Baltimore must decide whether it wants to continue leaning on its defensive roots or fully embrace an offensive-minded approach. This decision will influence not only who becomes head coach, but also how the rest of the staff is constructed. An offensive head coach could bring stability and continuity to Lamar Jackson's development, while a defensive head coach would require the right offensive coordinator to ensure the offense does not stagnate. This balancing act is at the heart of the Ravens' deliberations. It is not simply about hiring the most popular name or the trendiest coordinator. It is about finding someone who understands the identity of the organization while also pushing it forward. Leadership, communication, adaptability, and vision all matter just as much as scheme and play design. Baltimore has built a reputation on consistency, and they are not willing to compromise that for the sake of speed. As more openings around the league are filled, the pressure will naturally increase, but the Ravens appear comfortable with where they stand. They have conducted initial interviews, scheduled second meetings, and expressed interest in a wide range of candidates. This comprehensive approach suggests confidence rather than concern. The front office seems committed to gathering as much information as possible before narrowing its focus. Ultimately, this phase of the process is about information and leverage. Every interview, every conversation, and every development around the league helps clarify what the Ravens want and what they can realistically achieve. While some fans may be eager for a final decision, the organization is prioritizing accuracy over urgency, with still more candidates expected to enter the picture in the coming weeks. Baltimore's search remains very much alive, evolving with each passing day as the coaching carousel continues to turn. Before we dive in, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. Your support keeps us bringing you the latest news on the Baltimore Ravens. And hey, drop your take in the comments below. We want to hear from the flock. Whispers around the league are growing louder that the Ravens may have pulled off one of the most intimidating defensive moves in recent NFL memory. According to league chatter echoed by major American broadcasters, KHALIL Mack's name is suddenly being linked to Baltimore in a way that feels more concrete than casual off-season noise. Nothing has been officially confirmed, but the idea alone is enough to send a ripple through offensive meeting rooms across the NFL. If the speculation holds any truth, the Ravens would be assembling a front seven that borders on the unfair. Mack, even at this stage of his career, remains a game wrecker capable of bending protection schemes and forcing quarterbacks into rushed decisions. Pairing his veteran presence with Baltimore's already physical and disciplined defensive core would suggest a philosophical statement: pressure first, questions later. Insiders suggest that the Ravens' interest goes beyond star power. Mack represents a mindset that aligns perfectly with the franchise's defensive DNA: violent at the point of attack, relentless on the edge, and smart enough to exploit any weakness an offense dares to show. The possibility of rotating him with younger pass rushers only fuels the belief that Baltimore could keep its pressure packages fresh deep into games. Round the league, rival executives are quietly acknowledging that such a move could shift the balance in the AFC. Offensive coordinators are rumored to be sketching contingency plans already, imagining a Ravens defense that can collapse the pocket without sacrificing coverage integrity. That kind of versatility is rare, and when it appears, it usually defines seasons. For now, it remains speculation. the kind that thrives in hallway conversations and late-night studio debates. Yet the mere suggestion of Khalil Mack in purple and black feels plausible enough to matter. If this rumor becomes reality, the Ravens wouldn't just be adding a name. They would be staking a claim as the NFL's most feared defensive front, built to dominate trenches and dictate terms long before the ball is snapped. That's it for this update. If you enjoyed the video and want to stay in the loop with exclusive news on our Baltimore Ravens, make sure to subscribe and hit that like button. We'd love to hear what the flock thinks. Drop your thoughts in the comments. See you in the next one.